All right, guys, let's get straight to this. This is arnound.woodgett here to talk to you today about inner blockages. Now, what are inner blockages? Now, what are these things that are stopping you that are self-sabotaging you from your personal growth? Well, it is pretty quite simple about these things because we all know and pretty much we all are aware that that we have these issues that are deep within inside ourselves and planted somewhere inside of us that are stopping us from growing or developing. But a lot of us some of us are not aware that this is what's going on. They're not aware of these things because they're not really on a mission for self-discovery, or they're not on a mission to understand their self. They're not on a mission to actually be in touch with their spiritual selves. But they want all of these things that, this world provides us as far as money, success, better life, better relationship, you name it, all of those things. But how does somebody become aware of these blockages that they have? And really, in order for you to be aware of these blockages that you have, you need to be aware and be honest with yourself about what's going on within inside yourself. You need to be honest with yourself about what's going on with yourself. And what I mean by that, being honest with yourself, is being honest. It's like if you feel like or you just know what's going on with you, as far as like maybe I don't know, maybe you're just you're not happy because you've always been like that since you was young, because you didn't have enough money, or you didn't have enough success, or you didn't have enough popularity in the past, and that's just carried on with you since you've been growing up and your adult stages in your life. Those are things you need to be honest about within yourself, because as far as your growth, your personal growth, your spiritual growth, you need to bring those things back up and to surface those, to actually face those. um, you need to face those, those thoughts and those feelings and all of those things about yourself. So let me go ahead and get into it real quick here. Now, what is an inner block? Now, inner block, it is something that is sabotaging us from our true authentic self for true spiritual growth. Now, a lot of people have things that are blocking them from success, like I said, in many areas. But these blocks come in a form of, you know, something that is actually stemmed within inside of us from when we were a child. And this is why you see a lot of, experts talk about healing your inner child or things like that, because a lot of these blockages that we have are coming from the behaviors and the ego at the time of when we was a child, of figuring out what our identity was. And that actually gets into what I'm about to explain next, which is the crisis of our identity, of who we are, and trying to figure out exactly what's going on with us. Because from a certain age, from 3 years old to 10 years old, all we know is our mom, our dad, and what are we supposed to do, the way we're supposed to live, to go to school. We're only following what they're telling us. We have no really sense of our identity. And by the time we're teenagers, we already feel like we know who we are. You know what I mean? And it's really that, to the point that it's getting to the point where that, if you're not coming up with, if you're not coming up in, I don't know, in the best environment, if you're not coming up in the best environment, it's more than likely you're either going to be a person that's going to turn out good from that or negative from that. But other than that, you're still going to have a certain identity crisis if you're not understanding from a young age that, you know, your identity of who you are is really based upon being your true authentic self. If that makes sense to you guys. And but if it doesn't make sense to you, then let me explain like this. Like when you're younger, you know, you're not going to have an identity as far as your ego goes. Your ego is only going to feed on what it is that, you know, whatever you're exposed to when you're young. And so your ego from that time develops a identity about who you are, and it carries on into first you get your teenage years, which is your, you know, your rebellious years about who you are, and the values that were put on from your family and your mom, and your ego only strives on that. So we become a straight egomaniac from around the teenage years. And so but those inner problems that we have about ourselves were mainly implanted there by our family and our upbringing, and they develop, the ego develops these situations into our super ego that create our behaviors and everything once we become of a teenager. And we actually, at that time, we feel like we know exactly what we are. That's why a lot of teenagers at certain time, even myself, thought that, you know, we was grown at that time. So what I'm trying to say is that, we start to have an identity crisis of who we are, mainly around in the teenage years. But but if we don't understand how to get to the core of this situation around that time, or even when we're young, or if we don't have a good upbringing that brings those things up to us, how do we understand and know exactly who we really are? And you're probably trying to figure out, what does this all have to do with abundance? You know, what does this have to do with the law of attraction? And what does this have to do with me being successful? You know, you probably don't understand that as far as money. Well, I'm go ahead and explain that too. Explain that to you right now. Now, as far as you not understanding your blockages that are stopping you, how do you feel as far as tapping into the law of attraction, not understanding the blockages that you may have? Well, for one, the law of attraction, you need to have a positive vibration. And once you have a positive vibration, you'll get more, and you'll be more optimistic of things that are actually the things that you're actually attracted into to your life. But if you have these blocks that are within inside you, that's going to decrease your vibration about what's going on within you. But you're still going to attract things, because law of attraction is always going to work. But as far as having more abundance of things, these self these self-inflicting wounds or blockages that you have are going to stop, or slower. They're going to slow down the process. And so a lot of things are going to come to you a lot slower. And so you're going to be in a state of paralysis analysis about what's going on with yourself and how to react to certain things. And this is one of my problems as well. Once I was understanding, my personal development and trying to use all the things that I knew about law of attraction to have a better life, and just having a better mindset to begin with. But I understood that I have a lot of these self issues going on within inside myself that I needed to overcome. And so the best way to overcome these things is that you need to be honest about these things that are stopping you, and you need to be aware of those. A lot of people are not aware of their blockages that they're having, that are creating those behaviors that they have once they're interacting with people, or once they're having habits of being successful or things like that. And this is the reason why a lot of things that people give you as far as courses and books and things like that, people don't implement or don't do certain things, because these blockages that they're having within inside themselves or created these habits, or this mindset of not deserving, the abundance that they should have in their life. It is stopping them from getting what they want. But as far as them being their authentic self, being their true self, that's as far as the law of attraction. You're going to what's going to happen is you're going to attract people that are like you, that having a lot of blockages, problems as well, a lot of things and negative stuff is going on. And so I experienced that earlier on in my in my journey, as far as law of attraction. Started attracting a lot of negative people in my life because I was negative myself. And so this is, these blockages are very powerful, and is very essential to you in your spiritual growth. And also is very important if you're using the law of attraction to attract more abundance into your life. And so you need to be honest, truthful about what's going on with inside yourself. And I don't mean just tell everybody your problems and your issues, but you need to heal those things that are going on within inside of you, and you need to face them. And the easiest way to face these things is to bring them up. You can actually meditate, quiet your mind, try to get an understanding about why these things are coming up. You might even have to take a journey within your meditation or in a meditative state to get to that problem about what is going on, of what's going on with why you're not succeeding, or why you're not implementing anything, why you're having problems with taking action on certain things that you want to do, keeping your time management correct, getting things done, being responsible with what you need to do with your life. All of these things play into these blockages, or these blocks, whatever you want to call them, these conflicts. There's really no name to determine what these blockages are. All I know is that they're installed in us since us being a child. And it's because in our ego state, we don't understand our identity of, all we know is why am I am this, and why I am that, when we're young. And that's all we got at that time. But when we're teenagers, these these behaviors and these thoughts and these habits develop, and they carry on with us, through the course of our life, until we become awakened. And once you become awakened about this, as far as that, once you become awakened and you understand the law of attraction, you know that you really have to do a lot of inner work if you want to start to become more abundant and more of a manifester of things that are happening into your life. Now, I'm not saying as far as money, like the truth about the money part as far as abundance is that you have to take actions based on your emotions, because whatever your mind thinks about the most, your actions are going to follow. And so it's completely obvious that you need law of attraction is not based on money just falling out the air to you, but it's obvious that you have to take a certain action to actually get that money. But the main system that you need to have is the system of your mind reacting to the abundance that you desire and that you want into your life, and actually taking action on those things and making that happen. and then creating a system to make that happen. And so I hope you guys got value out of this. And so now, if there are any questions or anything like that, feel free to like leave, shoot me a comment below this post, this blog post, or, find me on Facebook, or, you could definitely, just, you can give me a call somewhere. You'll see that little tab on the right-hand side of this blog. Once you go to my website, if you're not on my website, it's enlightennetworker.net. And there's a little, on the right-hand side, and you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see a place where you can actually give me a call. I do take certain coaching calls from certain people if they have questions about anything, and usually I'll respond. But if not, you could definitely shoot me an email or get a hold of me, because I'm really not that hard to find. I'm pretty around. I'm around everywhere, so you'll find me. So I hope you guys understand that overcoming these blockages that you have are really important, and they're really going to carry out with you in the course of your life. And the more you understand these and are aware of these, the more your ego will stop feeding on these blockages, and it will begin to dissolve. Your ego will begin to dissolve, and the blockages won't be there anymore. You will awaken your true authentic self. And if you're using law of attraction and you desire abundance, this will help you be more abundant person, because you really understand yourself. And so I hope you got value out of this, and please feel free to share this with anybody who may need advice on this subject. And I will see you guys later. Bye-bye.